Hello everyone, welcome to Eastmount 3D. I am By Webber, and today I want to talk to you about a very important part of your 3D printer, the nozzle. But before we dive in, let me just say that I'm not going to make long speeches about what kind of nozzles you should be using or buying, but only that you should be aware of the abrasive type filaments, like wood filaments, carbon fiber filaments, and any kind of filaments that has some kind of flakes capable of sanding the inside of your nozzle in them. Here in the basement I have had a lot of good hotend clones of different kinds, and most of them actually used brass nozzles. For those of you who have been following me on Instagram, you will probably have seen the post about me totally forgetting about the fact that I only use brass nozzles and still loaded up some carbon fiber PETG filament. Needless to say, the first couple of hours of printing went by fine, but then the next print looked like this. I thought to myself, well, it could be the spool had just gone bad. It was actually a really bad, really old spool, but then it hit me. My 3D printers all use brass nozzles. Okay, so I cleaned out the printer and had a look at the nozzle, and yes, it looked like it was ready to feed an entire village, not just make these nice 0.4mm layer lines. Here is the nozzle cleaned up, just to show you that abrasive filaments will kill your brass nozzles, and will do so very quickly. Like, this is just after a couple of hours of printing, and look at this drill. It measures 1mm, and now you can see my 0.4mm nozzle is now more than 1mm in width. What to do then? Well, luckily for me, I had a brand new hardened V6 steel nozzle laying around. So let's just quickly replace this with that.
Go!
You can find a lot of good videos online about the correct way to change your nozzles. I like to just screw it in, just connecting to the opposite piece, heat up the hot end to max, and then, without touching the hot end of course, tighten it all the way down. Okay, so whenever you change something around your hot end, I recommend that you do a new PID-Tune, just to make sure your temperature is running smoothly and not fluctuating too much when you're printing. So let's just do this quickly. Here I am using Octoprint, but any way you usually do this kind of tuning is fine. Okay, so we are in Octoprint. We're gonna start by connecting to the printer, like that. It will then show us the temperature of the actual temperature of the bed and the actual temperature of the hot end. We are going into terminal, and the syntax for doing this PID-Tune is M303. Then we have a parameter that's an S, and then the temperature we want it to reach, to hover around. Then there is another parameter, E0, that is the hot end. And then the last parameter is C, which is the number of times it will hover around that point, that S parameter. We're just gonna set it at 8 for 8 times hovering around 250, and then we are going to hit send. Then you can see it says auto tune start. And if we go into temperature, we can see that it also already rises And now all we do is wait until this tune is done. Alright, so it reached the 250 mark, and actually it overshot quite a bit by 5 degrees, but then it left it to go down again, and now it's just hovering around that 250 mark. We're just gonna wait for this to finish, and I'm gonna show you how you put these three numbers, the P, the I, and the D, into the configuration file, which is then actually into the EEPROM of the printer. Okay, so it's finished the PID-Tune. You can see it dropping in temperature. We are going straight to the terminal and seeing that it says PID auto-tune finished, and then it also says to put these new values in your configuration H file. That is if you're doing this and then doing a reflash of the firmware. However, we don't need to do that. We can just use a command to put them directly into the printer. The command is M31301, and then there is just the three parameters for E, I, and T. Small letters, I don't know if it makes any difference, but I use small letters. The P was 29.34. The I was 2.28. The D was 94.19, like that. Press send. Go down, it has received these values. But if you don't save these values, then they are gone when you turn off the printer and turn it on again. So we're gonna do the M500 to make it store these settings. So that's pretty much it. Now we have installed the hardened steel nozzle, our temperature control is calibrated. Let's try to make another print with this carbon fiber version of the PETG filament. And to clarify, yes, I bought this filament with my own money. So to conclude this, I dare to say, as I dare to fail, that my heavily upgraded Wanhao Duplicator i3 is back in full form and swinging. And now I don't need to worry about printing with abrasive filaments, as long as I remember to only do so in this printer. Alright you guys, I hope this video was helpful. If it was, I really hope you're going to do a power punch on that like button. Also remember to subscribe to be sure not to miss my next videos. I hope to see you soon, and until next time, take good care of your nozzles.